Welcome back to Casual Bias Rugby. Feels strange. We've got a full crowd in here because there's a lot to talk about. We've got the Lions. We've got France versus New Zealand. Well, actually, New Zealand versus France. Let's be respectful to the home team. And then finally, we've got the Springboks season, also the official first test match against Italy. Boys, welcome back. Aiden, we haven't seen you in a while. Obviously, we had our Super Rugby content going out, but now it's international season. So we expect to see a lot more of you. How are you doing, my man?
Doing good, brother. It's, as you said, international rugby. It's the thing I live for most. I love club rugby season, and I think it's brilliant, but there's just something special about international rugby. When you get to go up against the likes of these two in a year, get to talk shit, watch their team lose, watch your team win, or vice versa. So good.
And you finally got a time to wear that Moana jersey.
Yeah, I mean, with talks of them going under as well and not being in the competition anymore, this may be, special content. So,
yeah, I love your little heritage jersey then that you've got. Remember the name. Jake, I don't want to ask you how you're doing. How many kilos have you lost?
Yeah, I had quite a bad week last week. I think I've put a few on.
This is a week on, week off occurrence now for you. It's ridiculous.
Well, I've been away, and I think I've accidentally put on half a stone. So that's not
accidentally. Right.
Show us your shirt. What does it say?
Well, this is obviously because of the excellent performances of Elliot Daly. The man, the myth, the legend shirt is back.
But obviously, he got a little injury scare today.
Yes, Elliot Daly, the man, the myth, the injured now, but he's still a legend.
Okay, fair enough. And then we've got our two Irish boys. Jimmy's representing the jersey there. You've been impressed by the boys this far?
For the most part, yeah. There's been a few downs, but for the most part, it's been quite nice rugby to watch. If you're excluding that Argentina game, but since I've gone down to Australia, it's been mainly positive. So.
Yeah, Tiernan, same wavelength.
I'm not going to lie, the sleep schedule's been so bad recently. I keep forgetting to get up to watch the games, but yeah, it's been pretty good. I've been enjoying it. Yeah,
the game's at like 11 your time. How do you forget to get up at 11? That's crazy.
Man. I've got I'm on my summer holidays now.
It's the post exams.
I'll care about test guys. Don't worry. Can't get this.
Okay, fair enough. Anyway, as we said, we've got a lot to talk about. If you guys are just like us, fans that just come together, talk a bit of shit when it comes to rugby, please do remember to hit that like and subscribe button. Go to all of these guys, show some love on their personal social medias on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, wherever you can find them. All of their actual names are in there, well, except Jimmy, because Jimmy knows rugby. Anyway, let's start off. We spoke about we spoke a bit about the Lions. Aiden, have you been impressed? Because we were a bit harsh after the Argentina game, right? But I saw it on, what was it, The Good, the Bad, the Rugby, from the AUNZ team, where the one guy there, he spoke and he was like, well, they had all the opportunities against Argentina and they just weren't clinical enough. And now all of a sudden putting 50 on the franchise teams, as you would expect them to do, but it's looking clean. It's looking beautiful.
Yeah, I think my summation of it is more surprised. Not surprised that they're winning, not surprised that they're playing well, but surprised in the areas they're playing well and the areas they're struggling in. I think most people would have gone into this tour saying the Lions' strengths would be set piece in the type 5, where they should be better than Australia. They should be much better than the club teams. Their forward pack is, it's massive. It's well-worked, international forward pack. And yet that seems to be the area they're struggling the most in. Come 60, 70 minutes into the game, they're getting a little better. They're starting to win scrum penalties. But at the start of the games, they're struggling. They're getting pushed over in the scrums. Their restarts are not great. They lost 6 restarts against the Force. That's ridiculous. And yet they're excelling in open field play. Their counter-attack, broken field attack has been brilliant, which is sort of something you'd expect a team that's trying to gel together to struggle with. They're doing really well there. So, as I said, just kind of surprised that the areas they're doing really well and the areas they're struggling with. So, it'll be interesting to see if that changes or if they obviously iron out those set piece worries that they've got at the moment. Yeah.
It's kind of the thing is like the structure. It's looking very clean, like the open play structure of it. But then when you look at I would want a bit more from the Mauls, like the physicality of it. It's strange to see like 4 teams coming together and kind of getting bossed at scrum time, right? Like the Reds aren't renowned for having the most lethal scrum necessarily in the game. But the Reds put up a fight today in the game. You look at the restarts, as you just mentioned, the Reds could have easily scored a try there from the restart where the guys, it's almost a bit of a lack of communication there as well. Jake, do you reckon the Lions iron out those type of things within the next week and then they'll be fine? And then also, who's been the guys that's impressed you and who's the guys that got to pull up their socks to actually get some more caps?
Yeah, I mean, I think the scrum thing, I don't know, the scrum thing's a bit weird, isn't it? It's like, depends on personnel, I guess, but line out is just really like getting to know your calls, getting to know new jumpers and all that sort of thing, new sort of hookers. Like, I told you might know Cowan Dickey, but the Irish guys at Burns going up to McCarthy, you won't know him so well. So it's all that sort of thing. Restarts as well, clearly they need to work on that. They're probably focusing on other parts of gameplay, just general defence and attack and not spending enough time on the restarts and training. Who's impressed me the most? I think Finn Russell's just come in and instantly just looked class. He's looking really good. Jack Morgan, only Welshman left, but he's been excellent. I've always given him credit. I don't know who else. I think Freeman just is always solid whenever he's on the pitch. So I think they've been my standout so far. And Elliot Daly, of course, the legend.
Seriously, this guy and Elliot Daly that's worse than me and Damien Willemse. I mean, this guy's got like 4 Elliot Daly. He's got like 4 Elliot Daly shirts. Just to put it out there, which is absolutely crazy. Tiernan, what's your thoughts been on especially Bundi Aki, who I've seen a bit on social media? People have been saying he struggled like that. 12 jerseys on lockdown for Tuipulotu. Are you on the same wavelength, or do you think that like people are overlooking a bit of what he contributes to the team? And who's the guys that's been standing out for you?
For one, I have been watching the games, by the way, just a bit later, but I do agree that Bundi Aki has definitely been overlooked because we saw him come into the team in the Force game, I believe, and the Argentina game, and his carries were massive. I think he carries better than Sione Tuipulotu does. He's big in defence, and really, people do kind of tend to overlook him because of his age. He's 35-year-old in the team, and Sione Tuipulotu is obviously a bit flashier, but I think it will be a big battle between the two of them over the next couple of weeks for who gets that starting 12 jersey. And when you look at Gary Ringrose, has been massively overlooked, I think, by a lot of pundits. I don't think Hugh Jones brings the same defensive strength that Ringrose does. And a lot of
but does Ringrose bring the same attacking threat that Hugh Jones does?
He doesn't bring the same, but he brings a very good attacking threat. And I think his tackles are massive at the same time. Like, he's unintentionally injured with 5 players this year with his tackles. So I think if you want to have a centre partnership from the same country, I do think that at the moment, Bundi Aki and Ringrose looks a lot better than Tuipulotu and Hugh Jones. That could be my Irish bias for what I'm looking for, but I just think if you want defensive and attacking balance, you want cohesion in a team that doesn't have that much time to repair together, go for the Irish one.
Well, Jimmy, when we did an episode, when was it? A few months ago, when we spoke about what the potential 23 could be for the Lions to take on the Wallabies. Has your 23 kind of changed in what we've seen in these 3 games, or do you think it's still way too early to call the changes that could be made?
I think at the minute, I think it's changed. I think at the time, I think you and Jake, who I was recording with that day, I think both of you said that you were quite surprised that I picked Hugh Jones over Gary Ringrose. Since then, that's changed. I think out of all the centres, outside and inside, Gary Ringrose has been the best so far. For people saying that Sione Tuipulotu has that 12 jersey on lockdown, I think that's just ridiculous to say. It's 3 matches in. Bundy hasn't been that bad, I don't think. I think it's been a bit of a mixed bag for him so far, but I think it's a bit early to tell. But I think out of all the centres, I think Gary Ringrose has been the best.
Aiden, you want to fight it out?
No, I don't want to fight it out. I just wanted to sort of rebuttal Tiernan's point about having a centre pairing from a country. I think you've also got to look at it that Finn Russell has clearly been the best 10 and what he brings to the team, what he's able to bring to the team. But his ability to do that is heavily influenced by Tuipulotu outside him, who acts as a second decision maker, gives him that extra time to not always be making the calls. And I think that's another pairing you got to look at. So you can't just look at 12-13. You sort of got to look at that 10-12 combo as well. And I think we could probably all agree that Finn Russell at this stage is going to be starting 10 for the tests. I think it's more important to have Tuipulotu outside him than to have a Bundy and a Ringrose partnership in the middle. At this stage, that may change. It's early doors. But that's my view on it so far.
And the Scottish propaganda, the Scottish brainwashing.
It's not. They're clearly like Tuipulotu is one of the best centers in the world.
But as soon as, but now we can't talk bad about Mac Hansen because he's probably been the player of the season so far for the British and Irish Lions. But he doesn't want to give credit to, or say Booney's been struggling while Mac Hansen's been flourishing because you can't judge it on the first 3 games and those type of things. So Tiernan, you can't be hypocritical because Mac Hansen has kind of shut us all up a bit, right? Because we said like, was he supposed to be picked? But now we can't say, look at how he's performing now. Because Booney's not been at the races this far. Booney's not been at the races for me, and Tuan van der Merwe has not been at the races for me. Those 2 guys, they kind of stand out. Where it's other guys that are really thriving at the moment. I think Finn Russell's really running the game or the show at the moment. Jack Morgan was great in that Argentina game for me. He was great this weekend once again. Mac Hansen, he's been sensational, right? So I don't want to hear you talk about we can't judge Booney on it, but then give all the praise to Mac Hansen, right? Because then it doesn't make any sense. Wouldn't you agree?
Can I say? I think Bundy Aki and Tuipulotu played together against Argentina. Both had their issues, but then since then we've had Tuipulotu against the Force and Aki against the Reds, and the Red centre pairing is quite a bit better than the Force pairing. So to be fair, but Paisami is a quality player.
Oh,
so
he's brilliant.
Fluke's brilliant as well.
That try from Fluke was sensational today, by the way. And Paisami, every time he touches the ball, he's such a threat.
Van der Merwe has to jump on that ball there. He just stands there like, what is he doing?
He's not. Why is he? I don't think he should be picked. I think Darcy Graham should have got picked over him. The guy only performs against England.
He's carrying well.
He doesn't perform with England.
He carries all right, but like when he got held behind the try line the other day, like nearly gave away a try because he couldn't catch the ball. Like you can't be doing that in a Lions jersey.
Doesn't Duan have like the most minutes for the Lions in a single tour as well, like the previous tour? I think I read a stat like that.
Yeah, he was probably
the thing is, the wings are probably sorted. Like James Lowe will probably be there. He was sensational against the Western Force. And then Tommy Freeman, I mean, that guy's addicted to scoring tries. Scored another one today. Like, he's a monster. 2. Yeah, my bad. I was at work. I only watched half of it.
What about Kinghorn Keenan? What are we doing on that?
That's tough because they haven't played.
Yeah. Will they even be fit for the test? What do we think of that? Put Kinghorn on the left wing. That's what I think they should do because I just think they're too good not to have both of them on the pitch at the same time.
Tiernan's just trying to move it around just to get Keenan in that 15. No one is.
Keenan's a better fullback than him. First of all,
who's your left?
Kinghorn always plays wing for Toulouse. Literally always. Never plays fullback.
Who's your left foot kicking option if you take out James Lowe or Elliot Daly?
Kinghorn have left boot.
Really? Well, you probably can.
That's what I mean. James Lowe's kind of
James Lowe or Elliot Daly.
Well, I don't think Elliot Daly's going to be in the test match squad, but yeah, it's a tough one.
23 you watch.
He's 23. If he's fit, he's 23.
Just to wrap it up on the Lions talk, Aiden, this is just for you because the other guys, they'll be biased.
Okay.
The 2 of us, we agreed that we'll back the Wallabies in a 2-1 series.
Yeah.
Are we sticking by that after the first three games, or have we seen enough? Because you see the potential, you see the kind of positive takes that the Lions took from that Argentina game. Does that make you a bit scared for the Wallabies, or do you reckon like you can't judge it before we actually go into the tests? Like these franchise games won't matter too much because of all the rotation, those type of things.
I also want to see how Aussie do against Fiji because we haven't seen Australia play. So we've seen a little bit of the Lions play. We saw them struggle against Argentina, who again, I know they're a team that have played together before, but it wasn't a full-strength Argentinian team, and they were thrown together as well. They had a week together, and they were able to disrupt the Lions as well. So can't really make a proper prediction without seeing both teams play. You got to say the Lions are trending in the right direction, but without seeing Aussie play, I'm going to stick to my original prediction until we see what they're made of.
That's a fair call. Let's go on to.
I add to that though, or you go?
Yeah,
on,
go for it, Jimmy. Go.
As a Lions supporter, I've gone for 2-1 to the Lions, Aussie to win the first test, especially with the likes of the restart have been pretty much awful for the last couple of games. So I think if they don't get certain aspects of the game right, then they're in for a big shock, I think, in that first test.
The big
That's
thing
all I
will
want to
just
say,
be the
sorry.
physicality. That's you have to, because there's a couple of big boys out there for the Wallabies, and you all know the upper hand that it gives you if you have the physical dominance in the game. If they sort that out, then it's going to be an interesting game. All those games predict your score above 50, like more than 50 points being scored. It's just going to be beautiful attacking, running rugby. Anyway, Aiden, I'm going straight back to you again, right? Because we're going on to New Zealand, France, and I want to get your take on it. Have you seen the little segment from Justin Marshall once again with the French team that's being sent? Obviously, we've discussed it before. Has that kind of lit a fire under your belly where it's like you're angry again about the situation, or are you more like kind of understanding of the situation? You just like deal with it?
It's a bit of both. Like, I understand why they do it. Like, the top 14 is a massively successful competition, and it sort of rules over French rugby, even though they're separate entities. But I think my point is just why invite France? Like, why bring them to New Zealand on a tour if they're not going to send their full-strength team? I get that they can't. Fine. Just don't invite them. Like, I think that's the only thing you got to take away from that is if they're not going to send their best players, don't let them come. There are so many other teams that would want to come to New Zealand, send their full-strength team. If Scotland wanted to come to New Zealand, I think that would be a great test. I haven't seen Scotland play in New Zealand in ages. England,
I think I'd rather play the French C team, to be fair.
If Ireland came to New Zealand 3 years ago, that was an amazing tour. Even though we lost, it was still brilliant rugby. It was competitive rugby. There are other teams over the world that I'm sure would love to come down and try and beat New Zealand in New Zealand. There are only 2 teams to have done it ever. Ireland 2022 and then France in 1994. So I don't understand why it's not a big draw for these teams to come and do it. But other than that, it is what it is now. We're going to play them. And so my hope is that we just get to try new things, experiment with some young guys coming through and just develop some talent.
Jake, you would probably know best from us. Is it possible for the top 14 to maybe, like, for instance, start 2 weeks earlier, to end 2 weeks earlier? Or is there like certain regulations that's blocking that from happening? Because obviously the big talking point from Justin Marshall was that they don't respect the international window. And the fact that all the Southern Hemisphere teams, we send our strongest teams at the end of the year and we go and play there, but they're not reciprocating it. Are they able to do that? And what do you think do you think that they would care if, like, for instance, South Africa, the Wallabies, and the All Blacks decide to send, let's say, second string players to just build on a bit of depth or whatever at the end of the year?
There was a lot there. It's really annoying though, because I think we should all be like jealous of France and what they're doing in the club game, because they're doing like fantastic things. I think the Premiership final had more than the URC and Super Rugby. It's not like a black globe, but like they had like nearly 1 million. And then the French top 14 final, I've heard, had over 5 million TV viewers. And like
that's crazy,
that's
yeah.
Insane. That's insane.
It's huge.
That's like a Six Nations game. So like, credit to them for doing that, and they deserve to be able to buy all the best players. But it would be nice if they could just at least bring their window forward a week or two, and they can do it because they're doing it for the Club World Cup in 2028 or whenever it is. And they're taking away some Champions Cup knockout games to make it easier and all that sort of thing. But they could bring it forward a week or two if they really wanted to. But the French club's got so much power. They can't really do it. The French Federation doesn't have much control over that. And yeah, I actually think if your Southern Hemisphere teams did bring BC teams to Paris each year, each autumn, I think that would piss them off. And so I think you should do it, but you don't.
The reason they don't. I just have a point into why they do their thing so late. It's because they want to do their knockout stage when the football season ends. That way they get a load of viewers. That's why they do it now and not back in the football time. That's why it's so successful, the knockout stages. But at the same time,
I think
it is.
They also, I know we would never send. It would be brilliant to send the B team to go play.
We
France.
take it too serious to just give that up.
We don't want to lose test matches, but they don't care.
The All Blacks specifically, it's just we don't want to lose any games. France is happy to sacrifice some World Rugby rankings to develop players. New Zealand will never do that. We will never sacrifice our World Rugby ranking. To us, that's just as important as World Cups, right? We want to be the number one team in the world. If we send B teams to tier 1 nations, our ranking's not going to be number one. We can't say that we're number one if we're losing to one teams. Whereas France don't care about that. They don't care about the number one team in the world. They only care about World Cups. And I still can't win one, so but
cheeky little bit. Tiernan, what would be from an outside perspective, right? What do you think is the expectation now from the All Blacks? Do you see that team, let's say B/C team, is it just like we have to go out there and we have to beat them 3-0? And if somehow France gets one over New Zealand, right? Because it's not going to be a walkover. They've got a bunch full of talent and those type of things. What do you think is the overall expectation now? Does it have to be 3-0? Because I've seen people saying you have to put 50 on them now. Because if you don't, it feels like a bit of a letdown.
They have to go 3-0. But it won't be easy. Now, if you look at that squad, right? Remember France said a while ago, hey, we're going to bring a few stars. We're not going to bring a load of players. And they picked no one. I recognize maybe maximum 10 names in that team sheet.
Because you just saw them coming off the bench here and there against Italy in the 60s.
You see them. You might see them in the top 14 some weekends, but maybe for the under 20s. But so New Zealand have to go 3-0. If they lose a game in this, pretty embarrassing. But it won't be easy. People don't realize just how deep the French squad is because they don't really rotate that much.
The thing is
the amount of talent in that league.
Is it 2 or 3?
It's 3, yeah. Thing is it really? I don't think it would be on paper. It would be embarrassing because it's a B/C team from France, but that's quality. It's about the big names aren't there. That's the thing that would probably make it embarrassing because if you look at some of the names that we've seen they've represented France before. Like Gaël Ficou's still there, but they had the talks of maybe Intema coming, maybe Jalibert coming, maybe Luku coming, and then you look at the squad and well, who the fuck are these guys? Right? Because we don't see them. We don't see them day in, day out. But on paper, it would be embarrassing. But then you're thinking these guys are probably proper players, and they could catch New Zealand cold in the first week. You never know.
And New Zealand, we're notorious for having a bad first game of the season. It happens every year. We struggle in the first game of the season, and as lots of people have talked about, this French team has nothing to lose. There is no expectation for them to win. So they can just do whatever they want. And that's dangerous. France,
is that why you never booked the first game at Eden Park?
They're going to want to get the win.
What's that?
Is that why you never booked the first game? That's Tiernan go.
I was just saying those French players don't play much. So they're going to be determined to go get that first win. So if New Zealand lose a game, I think the only one they could lose is the first one.
Yeah, well, they've got everything to play for, right? Those guys, they want to solidify a spot in the first team, if you could say it like that. So they would want to put their names up. I mean, imagine going there. There's no real expectation on you, but beating New Zealand in New Zealand, that would be massive. But Aidan, I was just asking, is that why you never booked the first game at Eden Park? Don't want to put that record up in grabs. Getting called.
You can't. It's not a fair reflection. You got to play your best team at Eden Park. Got to make the challenge as hard as possible.
Record's fraudulent.
What, mate? It's 30 years. It's not fraudulent.
But you don't. You play there twice a season.
It's because we play
pick
all
and
over
choose
the country.
games. Aviva only play Fiji there every year, and then suddenly we'd have a 50-year winning streak.
Yeah,
I just think it's the most overhyped thing ever because you don't play there every game.
You can't talk. You only play at one stadium. That's your country's fault.
Leinster are unbeaten at Croke Park. That's all I'll say.
Oh my!
You play at one stadium. South Africa play at 5-6 stadiums. New Zealand play at 7 or 8 stadiums. We're a country of 4.5 million people, and we play it all over the country. You only put it in Dublin. It's a joke. So does England. England can suck it too because they only play in Twickenham.
Well, we don't really have many other places to play.
Jimmy, what's your thought on the series as a whole? What's your prediction going into that one?
For New Zealand v France, I think from the outset, all pressure's on New Zealand. Like on paper, as you said, casual. Like this is a French reserve side, pretty much. Like the pressure will be piled on New Zealand. These lads have nothing to lose. These are just young lads, solely there to get experience, pretty much. But they will be wanting to prove themselves. So yeah, I have a feeling New Zealand will come out on top because obviously they do have the quality since they are playing their first team. Unlike
you got a 3-0.
But
when you say out on top,
2-1.
you think 2-1. 2-1.
Yeah, 2-1.
2-1.
Aiden, are you shitting it a bit? Like, do you have a sneaky feeling that you guys might stumble over, just eat the stumbling block at some point against the French?
I don't know where all this confidence has come from that we suck ass now. Like we had a poor season last year by New Zealand standards. The only team we actually got properly beaten by, was South Africa, who are double world champs. We beat Ireland in Ireland. We beat England 3 times for a team that sucks ass. And we should have beat France, but we lost by 1 point with some dodgy officiating. So
don't say suck ass, because now you bring it in quotation and no one said it. No one said you sucking ass.
The general media thinks we're rubbish these days. I just don't understand where it's coming from. Yeah, I think this France team will be tough. I've also realized I'm kind of wearing French colors, which was not intentional. But I just think we've got so much quality. And if you've been watching Super Rugby this season, like you have, Casual, the players that have been called up have been brilliant this year. And even though we have injuries, Wallace Atiti injured again, God damn it. People like Duplessis Karifi coming in to replace him. He's been sensational this year.
Yeah.
Noah Hope
to be there from the start, to be honest.
Yeah, there are so many people coming through our system.
Do you think there's anyone in particular who missed out who should have been
there? Mainly through injuries. Like when I first saw that Peter Larkai wasn't there, I was pretty fuming. But then I realized he was out due to injury. So most of the big names are there. David Havili, I was surprised he missed out, but I'm thankful because I'm glad we're moving away from that second playmaker 12 role. I don't think we need it.
Well, it's going to be Jordy.
Yeah.
Jordy's fixed.
Yeah, because he plays.
The pundits aren't happy with Jordy at the moment, are they? They're kind of saying that he shouldn't be in the team.
No, they've sort of moved past that. They've kind of realized that he's clearly the best player.
Savage, a world-class coach, he's made him better.
Yeah, and Razor, which I like. Razor talks very highly. He calls him a second coach, which is interesting. But yeah,
what do you think about Razor's comments that we might see a Rico Ioane back on the wing?
I prayed for times like these. I prayed for times like this. He was one of the best wingers in the world when he played on the wing. He was probably not the best, but he was one of the best, and he was terrifying.
No, you at a time he was the best.
Yeah,
the try scoring record spoke for itself. Do you reckon it's Billy Proctor season then?
Oh, I pray. I pray for times like that too.
Why don't you guys stick with wingers? Remember Mark Taleo was savage like 2 years ago. Now he's on the Babas.
It's because he's leaving to Japan.
Yeah, he would have been.
We don't allow people to just leave and then stay in the All Blacks.
Particularly the wingers, though. I think New Zealand are particularly brutal with the wingers.
Yeah, it's
you never have the same wing pair from one World Cup to the next.
Because got so many
wingers in there, like off.
Yeah, Ireland has like no wingers that are actually Irish. That's the
thing. Hey, yellow card.
Hey, wait till you see Tommy O'Brien.
Tommy O'Brien, the second coming of Christ. Remember the name.
Shepherd.
Earls and Stockdale in 10 years.
I didn't. Just the final thing on New Zealand before we move on to the Springboks. What's your thoughts on the Caleb Clark shout? Because obviously we know the talent. You know the skills that he has. He had a brilliant last season. I thought last season was his best season. But 0 tries in the Super Rugby. Do you reckon he features a lot, or do we see maybe a Will Jordan going onto the wing and then a Ruben Love going into fullback, or maybe even the 10 jersey, just because of his lack of try scoring, which is obviously what you want from your winger?
Yeah, it's tough because I think a lot of that can be put down to how the Blues played. Like Talia didn't score many tries either, because all the Blues did this season was absolutely beat it up through the forwards. And they just gave their wingers no time with ball in hand. And you're right, Clark was brilliant last year. So I think it'll be interesting to see. I think it'll depend on how much they stick with someone like a Proctor and Geordie in centres, and then how much they stick with putting Rico on the wing, whether Caleb Clark sort of fits into that with Sever Reece on the other wing. So I think there'll be a bit of chopping and changing between 13, 14 and 11, sort of pendulum swing. And then obviously you could have like Will Jordan move into the wings, but you wouldn't because he's the best fullback we have. It just depends on how much game time they want to give everybody.
Jake, what's your official score? The 3-match series, how does it end up?
3-0 New Zealand, probably.
Do you give France a bit of a shot in any of the games?
Yeah, they could be 2-1 quite easily. I don't think they'll win the series, but there are some good players. Like the starting back line or the starting team they could put together is still a good team, but I just don't think they have the depth in it. I might be wrong though. I don't watch all the top 14. I don't know all the players, but you know, you got to expect that New Zealand will have just too much depth for a 3-match series.
Okay, and then the final little segment, we've got the Springboks taking on Italy for 2 games, and then Georgia. Now, it's a weird situation where it's like we played the Barbars who were together for 1 week, so you can't really judge it off that. But the performance as a whole, where everything just felt like it just flowed nicely. What was Tiernan? Did you manage to watch the game between the Barbars and the Springboks?
Yeah, I've never seen a Barbarians game so violent and serious. Like normally the Barbarians are choking about, but it was a physical game, and you know they were never going to win a physical game against the Springboks, and they did play really well. In fairness,
the Barbarians had a very, very strong squad that they put together. It's just the problem that they only had a week.
Yeah, they're a pub team. They're rugby's biggest pub team, and they played like a pub team. To be honest, though. Yeah.
I thought you said that was Munster.
Second biggest.
Well, second biggest pub team. Right. But yeah, so I don't know. Springboks should be winning all the games against Italy. They should be beating Georgia comfortably, 20-point margins. They were good last year.
If you have to take that game as kind of like a benchmark, we would have to, because Italy don't have their strongest team either, if I'm not mistaken. It's the first time that Brex isn't there. In like three years, something like that, which is crazy. But if you take that game as like a benchmark and the way that the team just flowed the structure, it felt a bit scary. It felt like I didn't watch the Springboks with the way that the backline just flowed. That's your boy, Aiden, Tony Brown, coming in there. I mean, I've never seen Cheslin Colby and Curtly Orange touch the ball as many times as they just did.
Yeah, I'll be honest, it's a little frightening how well that's working. We always knew, South Africa's known for being immaculate set piece, just absolutely destroying you in the forwards.
That's only still 2 weeks, right? Just remember.
Yeah, I know, 2 weeks. But then some of the stuff they were pulling in the back line, and broken play especially, where I think, not that the Springboks have a weak point in any sort of stretch of the imagination, but in the past, broken play hasn't been their strength. They can get caught behind the gain line. That's gone. You guys are really good on broken play now. Little bit frightening considering the talent you have in the back line. Obviously, Cheslin Colby, Curtly Aronsa. Fussy played amazingly at 15. And then obviously Sasha at 10. Hot and cold, had some really good moments, had a few dodgy moments. But again, probably just because they haven't had long together. I'm a little worried, I'll be honest. I don't like that you guys can do it on both sides of the ball now.
Yeah, well, we love to see it, right? Like it, as I said, it felt like we were the Barbarians at certain points, and the best thing is it was a rotated team as well. I mean, take that team from last weekend. There was no Andre Pollard, there was no Frans Malherbe, no Pieter Steph du Toit, no Sia Kulisi, no Jasper Wiese.
I mean, pretty much full strength backline though.
Yeah, except for Damian Willems, who's the best player in the world.
So good, broken play. They didn't have their main physicality guys.
Yeah, but still, the scrum was absolutely sexy.
Yeah, the number 7 that was playing in Peter Steph's position, he's class.
Yeah.
Holy, he played he was just like Peter Steph 2.0. Man, like a million tackles.
He's very class. He's very good.
Um,
He's making his debut this weekend, and he's been like, unfortunately for like John-Luc Dupria, who's been like on the edge of getting into the team, Vincent Chichuka as well. But both of them got the opportunity last weekend. I really like John-Luc in that HS. He's been playing some good rugby, as Jake has mentioned before, for Sale, but then getting injured after 40 minutes. Jake, did you have any takeaways from that game, or do you think you shouldn't look into that too much, really?
What, the South Africa Barbarians game?
Yeah, going into, let's say, the Italian games, because they'll probably be up for it this weekend, right?
Yeah. I didn't watch that game, but but yeah. I would. No, well, no.
You watch like third-tier English club rugby. You watch the MLR, but you're not going to watch the Boks, which is the Barbarians, which is like one of the biggest occasions.
I've been away last week. But I just say, even though I had to watch it, you still take away the fact that even though it's a Barbarians game, you can still learn things about your combinations and all that sort of thing. So I mean, yes, there's stuff to take away from that game. I can't tell you what exactly, but there is stuff.
Okay, let's go with the same question to Jimmy, right? Jimmy, did you at least manage to watch that game?
I got to watch the first half. Then,
Jimmy's
if I'm
speaking
honest,
from
I switched
yesterday. Jimmy's come closer. Come closer.
Oh, sorry. I managed to watch the first half. Definitely probably wasn't the nicest game on the eye. It was quite wet conditions, which you don't normally see in a game in South Africa. Like it was quite a physical match, but you don't really expect when it comes to Barbarians. Like you probably want something a bit more fun to watch. But yeah, I don't think this will necessarily be a benchmark because the style of play was probably a bit different to what we're used to seeing with the Springboks. So
Jimmy,
yeah,
that was probably the
wouldn't really-
most fun Springbok game you'll ever see in your life. That's the most
No, I
good
mean from a
rugby you've ever
Barbarians
played.
point of view.
Once.
From
Those
a
big lads,
from
wasn't it?
Barbarians' point of view is what I'm saying.
I mean, how did they even get 7 points? That's crazy. They've never scored points, which is crazy. We thought we might break a little record there, but anyway. Tiernan, did you have something to add before we wrap it up?
Not much really.
He wants to talk about
Springboks still
Argentina.
players to come in. I just have a question to ask you, Casual. Do you think he's going to keep the number one ranked spot? Because obviously you got to go to New Zealand twice, you got to come to France, to Ireland, you got to go to
I
France.
saw Stephen Donald talking about this. He was like, "We're getting that number one spot." Well, it depends what has to happen for us to lose that, because it's so tough having to base it on the Barbarians game. But if you look at how the structure worked and stuff, I will have to. My game that I base everything on is that first game against Australia in South Africa, because then you can kind of get the just, because that will be our first like proper challenge. I don't want to write off Italy, but as we mentioned, this is not a full strength Italian team. We still got to test the ropes a bit. But obviously, it would be nice to go and beat New Zealand. But if losing to New Zealand once, right, or even both times means that we can't go to the end of the year number one, then no, I probably don't think we'll end up number one. But I reckon the chances are higher that we lose to New Zealand than the end of the year, because I think we'll want to make a statement at the end of the year. Like the Irish one, we have to beat Ireland at the Aviva. Otherwise, that thing's just going to keep on hanging over us, because it's obviously that caveat of, well, we haven't beaten you in 8 years, but now we beat you once, but then you beat us again, and that was both in South Africa. I will not let these French guys beat us. We've beat them in the World Cup. Now just do it at the end of the year as well, right? So off the cuff,
you got to take a C team for them.
yeah, of course, as well. Obviously, you got to back your boys. For us to win the rugby championship, we'll probably have to beat New Zealand in New Zealand. So I'll back the boys like that. Maybe ask that to Jake. Jake, who do you reckon has the number one spot at the end of the year? Because Aiden's also just going to be biased. He'll say
no. I actually wanted to make a point. I think if you beat us once in New Zealand, excluding the rest of the year, I think you'll retain number one spot, because we'll get less points for beating you because we're at home, and you'll get, even though you're above us, you'll get more effectively. Home and away does matter. You get more points for home.
No, I don't think so. I think it's just ranking. doesn't
No,
it?
you get extra points away.
Yeah, you get extra points for home and away victories, 100%. That's why France moved up over you guys in world rankings after beating you in Dublin. But yeah, so I think if you win one in New
Don't
Zealand,
bring that up to him again, dude. He's gonna cry. He's just gone over it.
if you win one in New Zealand, which if it's going to be one, it's going to be Wellington, as much as I hate that, then I think you'll stay number one. But if we beat you twice, then we'd jump you.
I think New Zealand's got to go away to Argentina twice. If you slip up there, and then you've got England and Ireland are two of your Autumn Nations ones. So I think South Africa will still be top coming into the year.
Well, Jake's actually praying that the All Blacks smash Argentina for their World
Well,
Cup.
if we talk, let's talk about world rankings. Because we've got England versus Argentina. On
Fine,
Saturday.
let's do 5 minutes.
Which
on
one
it. Jake,
matters?
take us
6 and 7. That's going to be the big one that matters because once you get top 6, it doesn't change anything.
Jake, before we get into it, just explain why it matters so much, so that the audience has clued in as well to why the rankings, like how the layout of the World Cup draw works.
Yeah, so obviously, usually it's 4 groups of 5, and you need to be in the top 4 to be in the top seed. If you get like 5th, you could be drawn with, your France, All Blacks, South Africa, so or Ireland. So now it's top 6, because there's 6 groups of 4, so you want to be in the top 6 of the world rankings. But I don't know if Australia automatically get the top seed in the top group, or if it's
I do.
So you need to be in top 5 to get into a top seed, because if you come 6th or 7th, you're going to be drawn in the group with one of the bigger ones, the better ones. So England and Argentina are hovering around that 5th, 6th, 7th area. So this series in Argentina is going to be massive, and then there's also a reverse one back in England in autumn.
What does the wins for the Wallabies do over the Lions, like in terms of rankings?
Nothing.
Which sucks because it's like beating a tier 1 team.
It's beating 4 teams,
straight as
shooting
next.
1. Like that's supposed to be the hardest thing to do.
Yeah.
I don't think they can do much there. But as England, Argentina, they're 5th and 6th. Argentina are slightly ahead right now, and if we beat them once, I think that will be enough for England. As long as they beat.
When is the draw?
But
when is the draw?
When is it? The draw, I think it's December 2025 for the Rugby World Cup groups.
So that end of the year battles, everything matters.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious.
If we beat Argentina once out of the 2 games in the next couple of weeks, and then beat them at home at Allianz Stadium in the autumn, I think we'll be all right for 5th place.
You're probably happy that you're not playing South Africa at the end. What's your end of the year fixtures?
We've got New Zealand. I think we do have South Africa. No, we don't.
Do you have South Africa?
We don't. We've got Australia. And then Argentina, and then like Fiji or Japan or something.
Don't write off Fiji. You lost to them.
But we were bad then. That was our lowest point.
Still are
Okay.
bad.
Fair enough. Okay, everyone. Thank you everyone for joining. We do appreciate you guys for watching. Please remember to hit that like and subscribe button. Go to these guys' personal accounts. Show them some love out there. And obviously, with the international season, let us know if you like the full cast. We'll obviously try and do that a bit more often now with the international season, covering all the international games, those type of things. We appreciate you guys, and we will see you again. Thank you. Goodbye.